Hello dear ones, welcome to today's class. In the last class we started with our chapter number 2, Wander Thirst, right? So by the way, who wrote this poem? Yes, very good, it's Gerald Galt. So today we are going to continue this particular poem, okay? So in the first few lines, in the first line number 1 to line number 13, in the last class we have studied that the poet considers life as a journey and he wants to undertake this journey despite of any obstacles. So he feels that every day is his last day, so he should travel. He must undertake a journey. That's what he feels. And he also feels that he should explore the unknown and he should also explore the unseen. Okay, he want to know the unknown, he want to see the unseen. And more than that, he want to travel to the faraway places, to the unknown places, and he can take the help of sun and star. He feels sun as his friend and he feels star as his guide. They will help him to lead the journey. That's what he feels. So at that point we stopped in the last class. So today we are going to discuss line number 14 to line number 28. So I will read the first 14 to line number 22. Okay, and there is no end of voyaging when once the voice is heard, for the rivers call and the road calls, and oh, the call of the bird. Yonder the long horizon lies, and there by night and day the old ship drove to home again, the young ship sailed away. So now in this particular few lines we could see that in the first line itself, in the line number 14 itself, poet says that there is no end for voyaging. What do you mean by the word voyaging? Voyaging means traveling, journey, etc. Okay, so there is no end for journey. He want to travel whole day. He want to travel whole life. There is no end for journey. That's what he feels. And he also feels that the voice of bird, the voice of the road, all this, whenever he hears the rivers calling, the road calling, okay, he feels that he should undertake this journey, he should undergo this journey. So now he is in a journey and now he can see the horizon. So what is the horizon? The word horizon. Horizon means it's a place where the sky and the land seems to meet. So if a person is standing in front of horizon, he could see both the land and also the sky meeting each other. So now the poet is standing on that particular horizon, and from there he could see the two-way movement of the ships. So what is this two-way movement of the ships? Now I will explain. The two-word movement of the ship. So the first ship, so the ship is moving from land to sea. So the one ship is moving from land to sea and another ship is moving from sea to land. So here you could see the two-way movement of the ships. Okay, so some ships are moving from land to sea and some ships are moving from sea to land. So now we can see, now the poet compares these ships to somebody. Just see, the poet compares the ships that are moving from land to sea to young people, okay? The ship that is moving from land to sea compares to young people, and the ship that is moving from sea to land is being compared to old people or experienced people, okay? So these are the two-way movement of the ship. The first ship is moving from land to sea, another ship is moving from sea to land. So now, young people, they always like journey and they are ready to take risk. But on the other hand, the old people, they are traveling back from sea to land in order to take some rest. They want to experience their old age and they want to take some rest. But the young people, they are ready to go, they are ready to take journeys every time and they are ready to take risk also. So the point, why this comparison is made? The poet himself feels that he is belongs to the category of young people. Even though he is getting old by his age, but he feels that he he is among the young people. That means he always likes journey. Like young people, he always likes journeys. So just see this. The other way in which ship move is from land out to sea. So this kind of movement, this is being compared to experienced people. So here experienced people is old people or experienced people, and young people, they are always ready to undertake the journey. They are ready to take adventures and they are ready to take risk also. Okay, and poet belongs to the category of young people, even though he feels that he is old by his age, but he feels that he belongs to the young category. Likewise, he always feels like taking journeys. Okay, now moving on to the next few lines. We are coming on to the last stanza of our poem. And come I may, but go I must. And if men ask you why, you may put the blame on the stars and the sun and the white road and the sky. So it's line number 23 to 28. So in that particular stanza, you could see the first two lines. You have to underline the first two lines. That means line number 23 and 24. There you could see certain lines, right? Come I may, go I must. Now I will explain what is the meaning of these two lines. So come I may. Here the poet feels that he may return back to the land. He is in a journey now and he feels that he may return back to the land. But even though if he return back to the land, to his home, but the very next day he will just set out for another journey. And go I must means he should return to the journey. He should take a journey. So that means maybe he can come home, but the very next day he will go. So go I must means I must go to journeys. Okay, I must undergo journeys. That what these two lines means. Okay. Now men may ask, why are you making such journeys? Why are you going to the unknown places or faraway places? You are getting old. Why are you undertaking such journeys? If people ask such questions, he do have an answer for this particular question. He will say that he is not making the journey. He himself is not deliberately making the journey, but the stars, the sun, the white road and the sky, they are making him to undergo journeys. That means he feels that they are calling out. Who all are calling out? The sun, the stars, the white road and the sky. These many things are calling him. These many things are asking him to undertake the journey. That's what he feels. Okay, so he will put all the blame on these four things, that they are asking him to take the journey. He is not himself going to the journey, but whenever he hears all of them calling, that means the stars calling, the sun calling, the white road calling, the sky calling, he feels that he should travel. So we are coming to an end of the poem. Okay, so now when you read the few lines, line number 14 to line number 28, we have come across certain new words. So the first word, voyaging. Voyaging comes in line number 14. Okay, going on a journey. Now moving on to yonder. Yonder means there. Now horizon, we have discussed this word, the line where the sky and the land seem to meet. That means they are not actually meeting each other, but it appears as they are meeting each other. Okay, now I have an homework for you. Okay, just see. What are some of the things that call the speaker? You have to write your answers at the back side of your notebook. Okay, according to speaker, what can serve a man's friend and guide? Okay, so you can think of your answers and you can write down your answers on the back side of a notebook. Okay, until we meet next time, thank you.